For a list of groups that provide bereavement counseling, you can log on to our website at kbyu.org and click on the Community tab. You can also obtain information by calling 211 Information and Referral. The staff at 211 can direct you to agencies near you that provide the resources and assistance that you're looking for. And one of those organizations is Primary Children's Medical Center. We're pleased to have with us right now the bereavement coordinator for that well-known institution, Orley. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me. It's an important topic.
Describe to us your job.
So I have two jobs actually up at the hospital. I'm the palliative care social worker and I'm the bereavement coordinator. The bereavement coordinator, I help everybody in the community with, people call all the time with resources. I run groups for adults who've lost children, and I run groups for kids who have lost important people in their lives as well.
Wow, so you've got it. And we'll talk in a little bit about how children grieve differently than adults. But let's start from the perspective of death is inevitable for all of us. And yet, preparing a child for death, let's say that we do have someone in our life that's chronically ill, whether it be a grandparent or a parent, how do we begin trying to prepare a child to understand something that is so permanent?
So let me just start by saying that to me, the answer to any of these sociological questions about kids is it depends. So with kids, it just depends. There's so many variables involved in their upbringing, their religious background, experiences they've had.
Makes sense.
And it also depends on their age, too. And sometimes developmentally, there's only certain things that they can understand at certain ages. So.
When you say developmentally, you mean that children who are, for example, toddlers, will grieve differently than children even in grade school, obviously.
Right, yeah. Actually, we were talking backstage there a little bit, and I told the guy that there's research now about, there's even research about kids who can experience grief prenatally, like from somebody who's pregnant and the husband dies or is lost. Like there's physiological changes that happen, and so that even the kids can experience that.
Wow, I guess that explains then why it feels like such a physical loss when we lose someone, is that there is physiological. Okay, so for example, let's say we're looking at that toddler age, 0 to 2. What would we, what would we expect in terms of their grieving?
Right, so a toddler to 2, they could probably notice their parents grieving. They could, they're looking mostly for stability. I don't think at that age they don't grasp, they don't have the cognitive ability yet to grasp
loss,
permanency, death, what it is. They just will probably notice that there's a change, that something's different in the family.
Okay, and we have obviously some information right there on the screen that you can take a look at right there. The next age group would be the above toddlers. So
like 2 to 6.
2 to 6.
Right, yeah. 2 to 6, they can pick up on nonverbal communication. Kids are extremely smart. Man, if they see mom and dad crying, they see other relatives crying, tearful, something has changed. And if they're aware of the death, that people have talked to them, I think one of the main things you have to be aware of with kids is that magical thinking. Imagination in children is active, and when you don't have the information, they tend to fill it in, and the imagination can be worse than the reality. Because
they operate in fantasy so much of their life. So be honest with them about what happened. Do you need to protect them with the type of information you give them if it was a very traumatic loss?
Yeah, great question. With kids that age too, you don't want to overload them with a lot of information, a lot of complicated stuff. You can keep it very simple, very easy. And something I like to do with kids any age is just ask the simple question, what else would you like to know? Just that simple phrase. I tell parents that all the time in the hospital. Because
that allows them to give you information from their perspective, their understanding.
They have control, and sometimes they might, when you ask them that question, they might say, oh, I got to go to the bathroom, or I want to go play. They're done. They're just telling you they're done, and they don't really want to talk about it right now, but they might come back, and you leave that door open for them and touch base with them. And when you talk with them, I use honest terms. I try to encourage parents to to use the terms death, die,
instead of going away.
Going away, or has gone to sleep, or those kind of things can confuse a kid. Again, that imagination. Who knows where they'll go with that? So if I go to sleep, am I going away? it can confuse them
Right,
and make
so
them
you
scared,
be honest
anxious.
with your terms. We are looking now at the characteristics of 6 to 9-year-olds, so they have a little bit more understanding. And one of them that identified, I thought that was so surprising, they may fear that death is contagious. They have some more mature understanding, but still misunderstanding because they don't grasp everything.
Yeah, and especially with older folks, or usually somebody's in a hospital, if they go to visit the hospital, and everybody's wearing masks, or there's gowns, or who knows what's gloves, and you have to wash. Yeah, again, that imagination will take over, that magical thinking sometimes. So it's just about talking to them and preparing them. If you're going to go to the hospital, if you're going to go to a nursing home, explaining in advance, this is probably what you're going to see, this is what this is going to look like. And just asking if they have questions, just trying to keep those lines of communication open.
That the more that you communicate, the more permission you give that child to talk about it.
I mean, in a sense, it's easy to say in a way, but for parents, it's hard to be brave when you feel like your heart is caving in. So it's just trying to be aware of yourself as well, and when you're talking to your kids too. And it's okay to cry in front of your children. You'd be amazed how many parents have to tell that too, that they don't think it's okay to cry, that they have to be strong and tough in front of their kids. No, man, no.
It may be healthier for them to see you expressing, then they can identify the emotions within themselves.
And that it's okay.
We've got Bart now calling in from Spanish Fork. Spanish Fork. Bart, thank you so much for joining us. What's your question tonight?
Thank you for taking my call. How do you, when you have kids and you have someone in your family that's declining in health, how do you frame their interaction with that person? Do you constantly, tell them this might be the last time you might see this person, or do you treat that interaction with that loved one, like an any-day activity?
Yeah, good question. So, again, it depends on their age and what they believe. I think just when you go to see them and their interactions, I just have conversations with them. Ask them again, what else would you like to know about this person? And remember earlier, it depends. So they might not have any questions. They might ask you, are they going to die today? We don't know. I don't think anybody knows those answers. So,
but if they are in declining health and they have been unfortunately told that it's terminal, so being upfront and honest with the child about what will happen, but not necessarily bringing that up every visit.
Right.
Okay. But checking with them and saying, okay, how do you think Grandpa's doing?
Because we don't know. I mean, even I work with some of the best and brightest doctors at Primary Children's. Even they don't know sometimes. They don't know when a child's or whoever's going to die. So
especially since you work in palliative care, you know that the body and the mind and the spirit will leave when it's time on its own schedule. We haven't talked yet about some of the older children and how they may be expressing their grief. The 9 to 12-year-olds, we're almost adolescents. So would they be acting out? Would you see behavior that might be very surprising?
Yeah. At that age, again, you might have some of the magical thinking. You might even see relief. You might see guilt in some of them because they may have wished this person was gone because of all the attention being paid to this person. And then if it happens, they're guilty, they're angry. Or if they've done something wrong, they can see it as punishment for their behavior.
Oh, in other words, I didn't do well in school, and that used to be a trick, make my dad unhappy. Now he's gone, and it's because I was bad at school.
They kept telling me to do well, and I didn't do well, and look what happened. And,
Okay. And then also we've got a call now from Payson. Lee, thank you so much for bringing us your question. What can we answer for you tonight, or at least try to?
Recently, when my grandmother passed away, we were all in the car getting ready to go to the funeral, and at the very last minute, my 8-year-old daughter just absolutely refused to get in the car and did not want to go to the funeral, and I don't think we handled it very well. What should we have done? What do you do in that kind of situation?
So in that kind of a situation, I think you have to, again, give the kids some control over what's going on. If they don't want to go, then I wouldn't force a child to go. Well, I mean, to me, if there's someone who can stay, if there's a neighbor, a trusted friend, or someone close by that they could maybe be with and stay with at the time, and then it's coming back and touching base with them, I think, and talking to them about it. I mean, again, it depends. So, I mean, if the family, if they had made this child go, maybe they don't want to go inside, or maybe somebody sits outside with them or talks with them. It's just about talking to that daughter.
And also, what I get from you is not only do we need to be able to respect our own body and mind's grieving process, that we need to also realize that that child has his or her own grieving process and may be different than ours, and allow them some of that space and decision making.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Orley,
Sure.
and for the resource you are not only to Primary Children's Medical Center, but for us tonight. You know, there is no right or wrong or date-specific timeline in the mourning process. Some people feel better in weeks, some in months, and for others, the course of grieving takes years. The important thing is to be patient with yourself and others and let the process unfold naturally. For more information on help with emotional well-being and mental health, you can log on to our website at kbyu.org. Then click on the Community tab. Also, you can dial 211 Information and Referral. The staff at 211 can direct you to organizations that are near you that provide the resources and assistance that you're looking for. We trust that you have found the information presented tonight beneficial and helpful. At Channel 11, it's our goal to partner with organizations around the state to help provide information on resources that are available in your communities. And we'd like to hear from you. We're curious as to what topics are of concern to you. We'd like to know what you think and how we can better serve you and your family. From all of us at Ask 11, thank you for being with us. I'm Rebecca Crespin, and please join us again soon.